Discovery Day. So, kind of in that same vein, except talking about quarter 3 work, on Friday, while we're doing Science for a Human Participant Day, assuming that I have a little bit of free time, guys, by the way, we're not looking at homework help. The ebook is different than homework help. So those of you in Dino that I can see are looking at the homework help, you need to go to the ebook. So if we need a refresher of how to get there, I always start at Phoenix, Schoology, because it's just easier that way because I don't have to type in as much info from Schoology because Estes set up that link really well. Then if you go from my Schoology to the links folder, and I put it on top to make your life easier. Homework help is not the ebook. Ebook is right here. This isn't homework help. Aha. I'd click it again so you get to it outside of Schoology. And you guys only see one. Well, don't click on ESP unless you want to brush up on your Spanish skills. 433, we are looking at 105. Like, that's what we're going to need our Chromebook for. But obviously, there's a couple questions before that. Is anyone interested in reading for us? Oh, somebody's hand at the back. You guys fight. You decide who. But it's 3 paragraphs, so actually we can trade off. So, you get one, Arfon gets one, and Ember can get one. So I saw all 3 of your hands. Sure. Arfon, take us off.
In the previous lesson, you simplified and rewrote algebraic expressions. In this lesson, you will continue to explore various ways to make expressions simpler by finding parts of them that make zero.
Pause. If you weren't paying attention to Arfon reading, 1, how rude. 2, what the heck does this mean? And Arfon, you do a really good job of pronouncing it. But algebraic expressions? What's an algebraic expression, Sophia?
Basically, an expression is just like the bubble written out.
Yeah, and
algebraic wouldn't it just be like algebra?
Well, what makes something like feel like it's algebra, not just arithmetic? Yeah, using variables. So if you would like to make a mental, or not even a mental note, but a physical note if you want, algebraic expressions involve variables like the x's we were using, or the x squareds that we were using, right? My x squared on the wall over there, my x up on the board right there. Variables make us in, like, now we're in algebra. Where in elementary school, you were doing arithmetic, which is just numbers. Just math with numbers. Now we're talking about algebra. Raiden, hit us with the second paragraph.
Zero is a relative newcomer to the number system. Its appearance was that it was as a placeholder around 400 BC.
What?
And
Guys, pause. Until 400 BC, what does BC mean?
Like,
Right.
before Christ.
Before Common Era, right? Or before Christ, depending on who you ask. There was a lot of time before 400 BC. Now, obviously, still there's been a lot of time since then. They didn't have zero. Well, think about it. If you go to count chickens, you're not going to start counting at 0. You start counting at 1. Right? Like, that's just really interesting to think about. Go ahead and continue, Raiden. The ancient Greeks.
Babylon, the ancient Greeks philosophized about whether zero was even a number. How can nothing be something? These mathematicians are generally recognized as the first people to represent the quantity zero as a numeral and number in its own right about 600 AD.
Bro, how can they not have a zero?
Emory, it's you.
I know. Zero now holds an important place in the mathematics, both as it went away.
Oh shoot, it went away.
Yep.
That's not what it says.
I think I pressed like the
It's up
6
here
button.
too.
I like this closer. Zero now holds an important place in mathematics, both as a numeral representing the absence of a quantity and as a placeholder. Did you know that there is no year zero in the Gregorian calendar system? Our current calendar system is 365 days in a year.
Well, now I feel like I need to be teaming up with Mrs. Pettigrew if I'm going to start teaching you guys about the calendar. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Until the creation of zero, number systems began at 1.
So, this idea of zero is relatively new. Yes, okay, I get it. It's like 2,000 years old. But that's relatively new in human existence. Now I kind of want to hear what they were saying. But alright, if two quantities are added and the sum is 0, what do you know about those quantities? Turn to your neighbor and talk, because I'm using random cards. Emery, stop doing your homework.
Got it. Well, if two quantities add to 0, that means that they probably have to be like
Gravity.
a negative and a positive. So that means like negative 1 plus 1.
Matt, hit me with what you guys said. Any old negative and positive? So, Eli, what do we call like negative 7 and positive 7? There's one word that starts with an O or two words that starts with an A. You can also pass. Opposites, or Lane, do you know the other thing we can call them? So like negative 7 and positive 7 is kind of what we're thinking about because that's what Matt said. They're opposites. They're also additive. Additive, anybody?
Identical.
No, additive inverses. Additive inverses. So if you're asked, hint, hint, if you're asked about additive inverses, it's really opposites, right? What's the additive inverse of negative 7? Positive 7. What's the additive inverse of positive 7? Negative 7. Now, Matt said something really interesting too, just I overheard talking with Ashley. You said, or it could be, yeah, the only other option would be like 0 plus 0, two numbers added together make 0. Donna, what about if you add, ooh, crap. Actually, I should give you guys like a minute or two to just chat with your neighbor about these problems. So if you add 0 to a number, what happens? If you multiply by 0, what is the opposite of 0? So chat with your neighbor about these problems because then I'm using random cards.
And then what's the opposite of 0? 0 doesn't matter. Well, you know what they could do for E? It would be like 0 plus 2 plus negative 0. And then is 0 either odd or even? 0 is even or odd, right?
That's what I'm asking you.
I mean, maybe even, but like, why would evidence says even? Even means that really it can be
It's
even
okay.
split in
You're
half.
like, these are the expensive seats. You're right by the action.
No, and it can't be odd means it can't be like it doesn't go out evenly. So I guess that means that
Oh, malarkey.
what's malarkey?
If you are, it's a bad word that's not a bad word. If you are on this list, you need to go to the library. Nope. Kylie, Margot, Alexa, Lee, Minerva, Liam, Sophie, Lemon, went. Okay, Amir, Zara, Maya, Belle, Gabrielle, Joe, Zane. Okay, good. I didn't mess up. I mean, I messed up because I forgot, but somebody else saved me. Donna, if you add 0 to a number, what happens? Yeah. If you add nothing, nothing happens because 0 is nothing. Come on, what about if you multiply a number by 0? Yeah, because if you have 0 of something, because when we multiply, that's of, so 0 of any number. It's 0. I got 0 of pizza right now. I got 0 of candy. I mean, if I go over to the drawer, I definitely have more than 0. If 3 numbers have a product, now we got vocab coming in. Bethany, if 3 numbers have a product of 0, what do you know?
Can I pass it off to Emma?
I'm going to shuffle your card back in, though. Like, that was our phone card. Or no, that was Kamal. Yeah, no, that was our phone. I don't know why you're still at the top of it. I'm shuffling you back in, but sure, pass it to Emery.
Okay. So it has to be like the inverse thingamabobs. and a 0. So it could be like 7 plus negative 7
Wait, what
plus
does
0.
product mean?
Product means like multiplication.
So this means we're multiplying. So we have like x times y times z, right? We just say 3 numbers. So what do we know about at least one of those numbers it says?
One has to be 0. You could do
At
like,
least one has to be
you
0.
could do anything. You could do like
Gentlemen, I
1,000.
don't know who to call it. Oh! Forgot, I was just saving it, honestly. Because this is, well, I don't want to say anything about that. I'm still coming back to that. Is 0 even or odd?
Neither.
Neither. Because it's nothing.
What's the definition of an even number?
Oh,
Raiden?
you can divide it by 2 easily.
Well, okay, easily. What do you mean by that?
Like 4, for example, you could easily divide it by.
You gotta quit using that word easily. Also, you're dancing that fine line of the bad word.
Okay, you can divide it with.
Okay, so you said 4 divided by 2. What is that?
It's 2. So
What about 6 divided by 2?
3.
What about 8 divided by 2?
4?
What about 10 divided by 2?
5?
So,
Anything
my
can
answer's
be
even, my answer's odd, my answer's even, my answer's odd. When we divide by 2, we get a
Even or odd number?
whole. To be even, when you divide by 2, we must get a whole number. Guys, one way to remember, if you're not paying attention, you should probably come back, because this is going to be on a quiz very soon. Whole number. How many whole of whatever can I have? Can I have 5 whole pizzas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, Monday we're getting pizza, right? We're gonna have more than 5. Can I have -2 whole pizzas?
No.
No, that's silly. Can I have 4.5 whole pizzas?
No.
Can I have 0 whole pizzas? I do right now.
Yeah.
I have 0 whole pizzas. Guys, 0 is a whole number. So when we talk about whole numbers, 0 is a whole. So if you do 0 divided by 2, what do you get?
0.
Did you get a whole number answer? So 0 is even. Technically, 0 is even. Come on.
You know how I think it's even? Because if you count the numbers up, 1 would be odd, 2 would be even. So then if you just go backwards, 1 would be odd, and then 0 would be even.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that though, because that doesn't work as we keep going to the negatives, right? So just be careful with that. You're right, but for 0 and the positives, just watch out, because negatives are kind of on their own. And then, Devin, what's the opposite of 0? What's the opposite of 5? What's the opposite of 12? What's the opposite of -3? What's the opposite of 0? So wait, hold on. If what Safe is saying is true, then 0 is positive? If you're going to say -0, 0 is positive? Well, it doesn't really matter what we feel like. Wayne?
Well, leave it like almost like a pole, right? So you got like above it, right? So there's a whole line, right?
Yeah, hold on. I think Lane's about to say something really good.
Like I'll have on it like this, right? So I got the line, right? And on the top, I put like let's say like 1 through 5, positive, and on top and negative.
Good morning, Phoenix. Nathaniel Houston, please come to the office. Nathaniel Houston, please come to the office. Thank you.
So here's Lane's pool.
Right? So you put positive numbers on the top. So
We got like the basketball hoop out here that's, I don't know, like 8 feet up. So what's the opposite of that?
negative 8.
Okay, so like 8 feet down, like the bottom of the pool.
And then we have like a bench that's 2 feet up.
Okay, we got like a bench over here. It's like 2 feet up. What's the opposite of that?
-2. And then right, we have nothing right there. That's
And we got the water.
right.
Okay, what's the opposite of that?
What's under the water? There's nothing under it. There's like it's like a font like 0 is right in the middle. So if we have a -0,
Equal distance. Equal distance.
then if we put a negative there, it would be lower than the actual 0. Then it would be like
So opposites are always equal distance above and below.
Yeah, but 0 doesn't have one.
exactly. So it's just 0.
it's its own opposite. 0 is the only number that is itself its own opposite. Because opposites are the same distance away from 0. Opposites are the same distance away from 0. My job is repeating myself. All right, so now let's actually talk about algebra tiles. So in 105, it says, sorry, I gotta get my ebook popping back up here. And guys, I'm on Dino. Please don't be navigating to other stuff. It's just embarrassing when I have to call you out on lack of self-control. Ebook. So in 105, down here where it says algebra tiles, click that if you have not yet. As we drag tiles over, and you gotta click and drag.
Wait, at the bottom?
If I double click it in problem 105, as I've said multiple times, double clicking it makes it dance. But if I single click it, it turns red.
Oh, man.
And if I zoom in on my page, what just happened to it? It's negative. So as we go to start working with algebra tile expressions using, by the way, you don't want to zoom because then the site breaks. I just zoomed to show it to you, but now I'm going to have to reset that page. Yeah, it just gets upset when you zoom in. So I need you and your partner to build A on your algebra tile screen. So you have all of the stuff over here that you need. I need you to build expression A on your algebra tile screen. And I'm going to start building it too, so if you need help, you can look up here and look at mine. Build 105A. It's in your ebook that you just were looking at to get to that link. That's why we're using the ebook today, because I didn't want to make your homework 2 pages. So it starts with 2. Guys, you can drag your x and make it bigger or smaller. I'm going to make my x as big as I can just because. The other reason why I wanted to come use this is we can play with the size of x. Ashley, are you finding, or are you just popping back and forth? Okay, sweet. Just double checking. You and Matt can work together if you guys want. I mean, it's up to you. But. So to get negatives, you click them and they turn red. Just single click. By the way, if you want to move multiple tiles, you can click highlight. You can highlight and then drag. I think I got everything from that problem. So guys, I hate to say it, but algebra is kind of, well, how we start algebra is kind of like when a parent comes in your bedroom and they say, this place is a mess, you gotta clean this stuff up.
Oh, they do that to me every day.
Put your socks with your socks, put your underwear with your underwear, put your toys with your toys. So, say, this is a mess. We need to clean this up. What can we do to start cleaning this up? What do you mean? Right now, my X's are on 2 different sides of the room. Pause. I paused.
He just says pause a lot.
But right now, they're not even next to each other.
Oh, they won't click them together.
Use your commutative property and move some things around. Safe is saying, I want to put the X's, well, first off, this was 2X and a single X. I can put those together because they're already together. And now, what we're technically doing is moving our 3X over to be with the negative X's. And I might as well scooch these over to be a little closer too. So now, Safe, what have you been trying to tell me to do?
I've been trying to say that you should add them to.
Okay, what happens when I put negative 3x with 3x? Oh, these cancel out. Guys, this is the only time in math when we should really use the word cancel out, when it becomes 0. Any other time we should say it like reduces out. But this literally cancels out because negative 3x and positive 3x. Okay, well then Bethany, what about my 1s over here?
You put you cancel out the 2 negatives and the 2 1s, and then there's just 1 left.
So our answer for that whole messy bedroom that we cleaned up is really just negative 1. Questions? Try B. So, by the way, unless B is very similar to this one, I would just close this tab and reopen a new one. So when you look at B, yeah, I mean, it uses some X's and some 1s, but that might be tough to try to keep. I mean, if you really want to use the tiles you had there first, I would just sort them in order of the problem.
Oh, you could also, like, if you highlight it and then press the backspace, that deletes all of them.
So I need 2 of these positives. I'm going to put these up here in order of the problem, and then, wait a minute, minus X. Hey friends, this is why I've been trying to brainwash you all year.
What?
I don't feel like you
Minus X. What are we really going to do as we're building with algebra tiles? That's plus negative X. So that minus X, that was a bad color to choose. Way to go, Hudson. That minus X is actually and a negative X. And then they actually write plus the negative right after it, which is kind of frustrating. Why'd you use subtraction there and then use the neg? Pick! Like, make a decision of what you're doing, CPM. Don't do both.
Those goofy goobers.
Goofy goofers. So that negative X. Ooh, 5. Ooh, wait, is there a 5 tile down? Oh, crap. Is there a way?
Once the ones who were.
3. These aren't necessarily here. Ooh, positive 2x. So Emery said if I hit delete or backspace, it'll delete our tiles. So when you look at B, I think it starts with negative 2 plus 2x plus a 1 minus x, quote unquote, plus negative, plus 5 plus 2x, right?
Yeah.
Somebody said it, but you whispered it. It's negative 5. Guys, check it. Look up here. All of these should be negative. If I highlight the whole thing, it won't work. So sorry, you got to click them individually. So these should all be negatives. I know, there are certain parts of this coding that could potentially work better, but it's still pretty good. All right. Carolina, what can I do now? We can clean up this mess and use our what property to move things around? Commutative property. I don't want the 1 also. All right, you. And kind of by doing that, puts the 1s together, but I'm going to put them closer. All right, so we put the x's together, we put the 1s together. Do you want to keep going or do you want me to move on? Move on. Sophia, what can I do now?
You add all the x's that are positive together.
I have an opinion that there's an easier way. You're right, we can, and we can put these together and say, you what? What happens if I do this instead? Guys, making zeros, once we have it all up here and we're looking at it, pair up zeros. I don't need to put all my bad guys together before I involve the positive 1. What could I do over here? Make a 0. So if I make that a 0, and now I put this with those, this 0 is not thought about, right? Like I'm going to ignore this. This 0, well, it's nothing. We don't care about it. So what do I get in the end?
A lot of negative.
3x
plus negative
plus -6. Questions on what we're doing? 106. We're not, so close this link. Trust me, close just that link. Go back to the ebook where 106 is. If you click 106 eTool, it's built for you. With your partner, determine what these simplify down to, A and B separately. Determine what A and B simplify down to separately. So 106, where it says 106 eTool, that's where you're clicking, because I see some of us are still looking. It's set up for you. You done?
Yeah, we're done. I'm done too.
Well, I'm Hudson.
I'm done too.
Positive 1.
Hey, reminder, 433 is a 2-day homework, but I am going to try and collect it Friday if we actually all have time together in class. Well, okay, yeah, I gave it 3 days on the calendar, but we didn't really do it yesterday, so when you had it, if you picked it up. All of that said, I might ask to collect 432 on Thursday, because 432 should totally be done. So for sure be ready to turn at 432. If we don't have class Friday, I don't know if I'll really care about collecting 433. Actually, I'll probably just ask for both Thursday. Because it's quarter 3 work anyways. I mean, if they get put in map and you didn't turn them in, that's just your quarter 3 to-do list, right? Jack, what'd you guys say about A? What's it simplify down to? 1? Yeah. Anyone have any questions for Jack on how that happened? This was 0. This was 0. This was 0. And we end up with positive 1. Ashley, what about B? Help me out with at least part of it. Okay, so the x's cancel out. What about the x squareds? Yeah, nothing happens with them, so how many do we have? 2x squared. Now, guys, I'm going to stop writing in red. Who can tell me why?
Simple and with a negative.
Lane?
Because typically negative means like you got it wrong.
Yeah, red, we're now literally training our brain red is negative. And guys, financially, like in accounting, red is negative. Red is used as a negative color. So I'm going to stop writing in red because that's a poor choice. Not trying to call anyone out for always using a red pen or anything. But red means something. Jane, what can I keep doing? Do you actually want to pass it off or do you want to keep going? Yeah, you're okay. Jane? We got these accounted for. Ooh, 0, 0. Plus -1. And I'm not going to switch colors even though that's a negative. Like, I'm just going to avoid red because red is telling us negative. Now, wait a minute, though. Look at your homework. I set mine down somewhere. Flip it to the back. We're going to make a note on your homework right now so you don't forget. Oh, I didn't plug you in.
Wait, so it has been recording the whole time?
Look at 117. The problem on the back of your homework that I just instructed you to be looking at your homework on the back. Anyone want to make a guess of what's going on here since I can't print your homework in color? Safe?
The little blacker ones are like negatives.
If you look at my shirt, where the blue ink is got printed, right? Like ink got put on the shirt. But there's still like design pieces that you can see because they're boxed out. But does this little strip have an amount of ink that went on the shirt? No, it's missing ink, and what we technically call it in design is negative space. When you have space in between something, that's called negative space, and it can be really impactful, really important. I'm going to show you one of the best examples here in a moment, but what I would code on your paper is that empty equals negative. Like empty means negative. So the shaded in gray ones, those are our positives. The empty tiles are our negatives.
I thought you literally just said don't write it.
But I'm using that to talk about negative.
Oh.
Who knows what the best example, I don't know about the best example, but an amazing example of negative space actually doing something. Raiden?
Going to your birthday party and one room is filled
No, I'm talking about like a logo. Like something that all of us have seen. I guarantee, like, if you are a human who goes around the world, you've probably seen this.
TikTok.
Stop. Safe.
You know when you're like driving in your whip and then you see like the little
Lane.
the Fortnite logo?
The what?
The Fortnite logo?
I don't even know what the Fortnite logo is. No, because I don't know what it is, and I'm smarter than that now. The FedEx logo. FED printed in purple. EX printed in orange. Negative space,
Bet you
not printed at all, right? It's the white. What's this negative space? What does FedEx do? Now that you've seen it, you'll never unsee it. FedEx's logo is brilliant.
But no, Amazon.
Can you imagine being in this meeting? Yes, Amazon A to Z, but this is better. Tell me Amazon's is better than this. We can fight. It's okay. Can you imagine being in the meeting when somebody has a font typed out, and font normally has space between the letters, and somebody walks up and they go, guys, what if? And you push the letters together, and it naturally makes an arrow. The negative space is serving a purpose. It's like subliminal messaging, honestly. It's like subliminal messaging. Unfortunately, that's all the time I have. We're picking this up tomorrow. We're continuing this lesson tomorrow, and we'll probably start Jenga also. We'll probably start Jenga tomorrow. Sure, do it later. Like you can erase one of them, clean it up, and get it ready to go. You don't have to coil it up all night. Someone's probably going to do Jenga today. I would assume that he knows about the logo, but you could go home and say, like, hey, I learned about the FedEx logo today. Do you know what I'm talking about? And just say, like, negative space. Okay, well, that's going to be a bit tougher then.